Well, hello, and you are watching another episode of the Live Today show right here on CAN TV Channel 21. I'm Dr. Cherie, your host for the show and the founder of the Live Today Foundation, where our mission is to provide inspiration, joy, and free compression garments to under-resourced cancer patients and survivors living with lymphedemas. Now, our followers know that we also provide education and resources on a variety of topics designed to help you live today and every day. And today you are in for a special treat. We have a very interesting topic and a very special guest today. But before I introduce this beautiful lady, I want to share with you, I know there may be some new watchers that want to know how they can follow up and find out what's going on with the Live Today Foundation. So for those of you that may be new to the Live Today Foundation, listen, you can find us at www.live-today.org. I mean, man, go out to that website. I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind. Tons of stuff out there, not only about cancer and cancer survivorship and cancer treatment, but about lymphedema, how it starts, how you can prevent it, how you can treat it. But then we also have nutritional topics out there and yoga and all other types of resources. And I bet after today, we're going to have another section to add to our website. If you know of someone, it may be you, it may be a loved one, who may be in need of compression garments. They have failed trying to get compression garments from their insurance company or failed trying to get them from Medicaid or Medicare, but they are in need of compression garments. Listen, send us an email at info@live-today.org, and we will walk you through the entire process. Or the easiest way, go out to our website at www.live-today.org and click on Request for Free Garment Application. Boom, fill out a simple application. We'll get notified that it's completed. We'll send you the sizing and measurement instructions and allow you to pick what designs you like, and then they'll be shipped directly to you. For those of you that are still old school and you say, hey, I want to pick up the phone and I want to hear a voice, please feel free to give us a call at 754-220-0234. You never know, depending upon who's manning the phones, you might get me. Now, for those of you that are following us on social media, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram at livetoday.org. That's Live Today, DOTORG. Or you can also find all of our past TV shows, videos out there for yoga and nutrition and all other types of extra videos that we think would be helpful for you to live today and every day on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to us. Just search for the Live Today Foundation and click subscribe, and you'll be notified every single time a new video is posted. Now, I have the great pleasure of introducing to you Dr. Veronica. Now, listen. As an intuitive guide and relationship coach, and I'm telling you on that relationship part, I'm not gonna have to talk, because I need a relationship coaching myself. Dr. Veronica brings a unique blend of both medical and spiritual expertise to her clients. And you know how near and dear this is to my heart. She started her very successful career as an eye surgeon, as an ophthalmologist, man, cutting on folks' eyes. As you can see, I may have passed. After graduating from, get this, Princeton University. Yes, you heard me say Princeton, and Rutgers Medical School. You know what? Today, she is now a licensed physician, a practicing psychic, and a Kobe certified consultant with a diverse background as an integrative medicine physician. Veronica finds deep fulfillment in guiding individuals to overcome unique and complex issues through her signature RESPECT method. Yes, baby, I said RESPECT method, as well as tools such as the Kolbe assessment and human design. Now, I did the Kolbe assessment and human design with Dr. Veronica, and I'm telling you, it has changed my life. It changes how I interact with people, how I do business, understanding myself, understanding how I deal with my children. Just phenomenal. She helps high-achieving professionals cultivate successful careers, healthy habits, and relationships by teaching them how to be their authentic selves and appreciate their true identity. And so without further ado, Dr. Veronica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cherie. I'm so pleased to be here and honored that you asked me to be here. So I want to give your audience all this information because it's something people talk about on the side, but when it comes to in the mainstream, it's something that people don't know how to talk about. They don't have words for it, and they know something's going on, but the conversations aren't had in a manner that's been helpful as far as I could see, which is why I started talking about it a lot more.
Exactly. Now, listen, I got to share with you guys before I jump into these questions, because these are some heavy questions, and I really want to give Dr. Veronica the floor. Dr. Veronica and I have known each other, this is now 8 years. We first met in 2015 at a conference that we were both asked to speak at. And I am so grateful because our lives have changed and manifested over these past 8 years in a way that has now recently brought us together on this mission to not only impact high-performing professionals, but to impact physicians, to impact the stay-at-home mom, to impact cancer survivors, cancer patients, caregivers, just ordinary folks to be able to live out their lives to the fullest with a better understanding of how they fit into the world. We always talk about what things that we want to do, and we get on a plan, but if we don't understand why we even have these desires, and understand our gifts, and understand how we interact with other individuals and how the environment interacts with us, we won't have the intended impact that we want, because we won't even understand the full potential. So Dr. Veronica is going to allow us to be able to understand the full potential of how we live out our lives and the decisions that we make daily. So I'm going to ask this first question, because this is what you are, and I want individuals to understand what this is. Because I'm telling you, you guys know that I also have my own podcast, which is on hiatus now because Live Today is running me ragged with requests, and I love it that we're able to be a blessing. But you guys know that I started a podcast entitled Where Medicine Meets Ministry, Dr. Cherie Talks Faith and Facts. And so when Dr. Veronica and I were talking about both of us being physicians and having an understanding of that spiritual side and how they connected, she does it in a way that, one, when I reactivate the podcast, of course, she's going to be a guest on that, but she does it in a way that I'm not privy to, and I don't have the knowledge and the skill set. I know that it was possible, but you bring the knowledge and the skill set. So with that, can you tell us what is a medical intuitive, and why did you decide to become one?
Well, thank you for asking. It's not really that you decide to become it, you are. And as an intuitive, let me just strip away. I like to say intuitive because it sounds fancy, but it's just a word of saying that I'm psychic. And it took me a long time to say that. And in fact, as of the day of recording this show, 10 years ago today, I had a major injury in my life 10 years ago today, which made me come out of the closet and say that I could do this. So I'm psychic, and I've always been. It's not something that was salient to me because I have so many other things going on. I have, someone who Jane Sanders did my scientific hand analysis, read the lines and everything in my hands and said, okay, you have 8 gift markings and only 10% of the population has any gift markings. You have 8 of them, and 5 of them are intuitive. So if you are not doing anything with that, you are not on your master path in life. And that was December 2012. And at that point in my life, I was not doing anything related to this. I didn't want anybody to even know that I could do this. I was running away from it because you're embarrassed, because people teach you that it's not real and that it's fake. And especially in things like medicine, if it can't be proven by a particular type of study, it's not real. And in other circles, people will be like, "Oh my God, you're like a witch," right? And by this point in time, although I had been a part of a church and a Christian community, I actually used to teach Sunday school. I wasn't in that particular genre where, okay, if I did that and I had all the religious logo going, they'd be like, "Oh, prophetess." So that's just not how I am and how I do things. So I didn't know where I fit. And as a result of trying to hide it, my spiritual coach at the time told me what happened. I went out for a run one day, 10 years ago today. I went out for a run and I tripped and fell and tore up my knee. And it's so bad. I tore all the tendons and I tore all the stuff in my knee and detached the tendon. That's how big. And I tripped and couldn't catch myself. And I was running down New York City past the art museum. And as soon as I got to the next street past the art museum, I tripped and fell into the middle of the street in busy New York City. Okay. Oh. Right. And when I got to the hospital, I got a phone call like the next day, ring, ring. I was supposed to have a coaching session with my spiritual coach. And he said, "The reason why this happened to you is because you're refusing to use your gifts. And you don't start using your gifts, more of these things are going to happen." Wow. Now, I start with that story because when people have illnesses and injuries, it is a slap, a beat down from the universe that you gotta do something. And what does that mean? And when you go in conventional medicine, we never talk about the links related from what else is going on in your life to what's happening to your body or your injury. You might keep injuring yourself because you think you're not deserving or there's something about you. This is what happened to me. I injured myself because of being fearful and not wanting to say anything and wanting to play small and not wanting to be who I was. And so you keep hurting yourself, you keep doing. So some people will keep getting sick when they don't want to face something.
Wow. Okay, so this is about to lead me to my second question, but I want to share with individuals. I have seen the scar from her knee injury. And I mean, this woman was injured bad. What I did not know when we scheduled this, that this was the anniversary of that date. When you said that, I just got chills because I'm like, oh my gosh. Not only did when I saw the scar from that, and I knew that this part of the story behind it, I didn't know the full story, and I certainly didn't know the date, and I didn't even, so the implications, I'm telling you, guys, if you are watching this, when you watch this episode and when you hear this, I want you to pay attention to the signs that are being shared in the midst of this, because there is purpose. And when you stated, I'm running and I'm not walking in my calling and I'm not using my gifts and I'm running away from them and I am injured. And my spiritual coach said, until you walk in your calling, until you do what you are gifted to do, you're going to continue to have these injuries and health issues, which leads me to my second question. Can you talk about the link between spirituality and health?
So I'm going to give you a little bit of physical stuff. Okay. Because people are going to understand this, because this is normal lingo in medicine. It's called stress. Okay. And so we all say we got stress, and you have stress with your health. You have stress with money. You have stress with relationships. You have stress with your career. You have stress with figuring out your own self and spirituality. Stress, we all know what that is. With your kids, with your dog, with, everything is a chance to have stress in your life. And we're not necessarily taught how to process stress. We all know, and it's well documented, that stress leads to disease, but we never talk about how that happens. Now, everybody, I want you to know that there is a system within your body that has to do with, you might have heard of the hormone cortisol, and this all has to do with your immune system too. So the cortisol system mediates your stress and causes things like high blood pressure and diabetes, and also is related to your immune system and cancer. And so when you have mental or spiritual stress, you are triggering your body. And if you don't do something about that things are going to go haywire and they're going to come out, manifest as some kind of illness or injury or weakness or something else. Okay. So there is a pathway well known in the body that leads to problems, yet we don't really talk about it this way. Now, the second is when you have these triggers going on, everybody says lower your stress, but nobody ever tells you how to do it or exactly what it is or anything like that. And I'm trained in functional and integrative medicine. After I was an ophthalmologist, but then I went back and trained because I embrace my ability to be an intuitive and see and feel, and without being around people, tell what's going on in them spiritually and physically. I was like, I need other skills to help people remotely. And so I went and trained in homeopathy, functional medicine, and integrative medicine. Because you know how us doctors are, we love to like rack up like certifications. And I want to be able to talk the lingo with other doctors are going to be watching this. And I'm going to say, like, you have stress, there's a cortisol system. That's all you need to know. Go do the research. Now let's talk about what you really need to know, which is how do you begin to process this so that you can let go of your illnesses and injuries? Because everybody's illness and injury. There's a very good book you can read about this too. I mean, I wrote a book about this before my last book, but there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, The Body Keeps the Score. And it well lays out what I'm talking about today. But it is imperative that just as you go to the doctor to get help when you have a cancer or your diabetes or your blood pressure or whatever's going on, you need to have people in your life who help you with these spiritual issues. And let me just say, these spiritual issues are, your spirituality is different by and large from your religion. It has nothing to do with your religion at all.
Thank you.
You can be very religious and not spiritual at all. You can be very spiritual and not have any religion at all. They are mutually exclusive. Yes. I want to make that clear because people think if they have a religious practice, they're good. And there's a whole system that's involved in making sure your spirit is okay. So when I talk to people and I have you talked about my respect method, the S is for surrender to your spirit. And I want you to keep praying, but I also want you to know who you are as a spiritual being. That's where things like human design come in. I want you to know what it means to be spiritually intelligent. And there's 12 parts of that. And then, as known in the Bible, there are the fruits of the spirit. You have to learn how to cultivate them towards yourself.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Now, most people, especially people who are ill, decide when you are ill, it means you ain't taking care of you. Just bottom line, you are not taking care of you. You're paying attention to everything else that's going on.
Yep.
Except you. Mm-hmm. Because whatever you want to call it, God, the infinite source, creator, the creator of all that is perfect and is in you, and you are meant to be that way too. So when you are having anything else going on, it means that you are not connected with source enough.
Yes.
You need to pay attention to you over paying attention to everybody else.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Now, where does somebody like an intuitive come in helping you understand what your energy and body is saying? Okay. Because you wouldn't be sick or hurt or whatever if you understood how to do it. You've reached a level where I'm doing the best I can. Tell me what else I'm going to do. You're sitting here, doctor, telling me that I ought to know this and I don't know this. And so somebody right now is mad at me because they're just like, how dare you say that? And they know they're mad. You're triggered because you know what I'm saying is true. Okay. So what I'm saying is get up off your knees and go get help. And get help from somebody who knows what they are talking about and doing. Now, that doesn't mean you still don't use your pastor, your rabbi, your imam, your, other person who's affiliated with your religion. But this is the type of stuff I'm talking about is a completely different skill set.
Yes.
And it takes study, education, and training the same way I trained as an ophthalmologist, and I've studied in these particular areas, first learning on myself and fixing me. And it's always a work in process, always. I'm not perfect. I'm perfect where I am now. I had to go through everything I went through now to get here to talk to you.
Correct.
And so therefore it is all perfect.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are still areas that I'm working on so that I can do more, be more, and have the abundant life. I mean, it's all of us want to have a happy life. We want to have an abundant life. And we're trying to do everything we can to do that, but sometimes we don't know how to do that. So a lot of people, especially women of color, attempt to have an abundant life by overdoing it for everybody else and ignoring themselves. There's something somewhere, and I'm not sure what Bible people are reading or anything, that's something that says they feel like if they sacrifice, that's their way to get what they want. And there's nothing said that anywhere.
But you know what, Dr. Veronica, you know what? I want to comment on that. I want to say two things about you first before I make a comment on it. Well, no, I better make the comment before I forget. You and I both know that there has been actual genetic changes that have occurred to us because of trauma, unhealed trauma, unaddressed trauma. And I truly believe that we, especially women of color, that has been coming on us since ancient times, right? When you're treated as property, you are given away at a price. You can't own a home. Only the man can own the home and the land. If he dies, you don't have any form of living unless his brother or some other male, in the family takes her on. I mean, all of this has been going on, for thousands of years. I think genetically, we have been predisposed to think that, okay, let's do this for everybody. And now this makes me complete. But you're going to address that, I know, a little bit later. But two things I want to address about you. And that is, you importantly stated that when I realized who I was, the gifts that I had, and the injuries that were occurring to me and would continue to occur unless I walked in my gift and accepted who I was. You did not just wake up one morning, accept who you were, and then went out and started practicing on people and reading people and all that stuff. You went back you described three: homeopathy, functional medicine, and integrative medicine. So guys, I want you to understand and appreciate, this is a physician who has graduated from Princeton University and Rutgers Medical School, who now practiced as an ophthalmologist for years, a hugely successful career, let me tell y'all. The woman knew what she was doing. She had clients and patients coming in everywhere. And then a spark changed. And when she realized her gifts, she recognized that I needed to cultivate these gifts. I need to understand how to use these gifts. I need to understand I'm in a position where I'm a physician and I have this other additional gift. So yes, I can come in as an intuitive and read the person, but I have the ability to read the person and the condition. And I want to be able to have the credentials behind me so that people will know that what they're getting from me is real. It is studied. This is not just me talking off the top of my head. So please know, you all know that when I bring guests on this show, they are uno numero, because they have done the work behind who they are and what they profess. You also stated, guys, when I'm not negating you going to your pastor or your rabbi.
As many people on your team as possible.
Exactly.
You want everybody on your team.
But what we've had the tendency to do is that when we've had problems, we would just, I know me, and let me just talk from the church side. We've had a tendency that if there's an issue or a problem, we will go to the pastor and go in for prayer and have the expectation that we're just going to come and pray. And now because the pastor has taken it to the Lord, then I just go home and wait on my healing. But what you are importantly pointing out is that there is individual work that we have to do. We are not negating the prayers of our team and inner circle. But it is not even based on biblical principle for you to think that someone else can pray for you or prophesy on you and that you have no responsibility in allowing that fulfillment of that prophecy or those intuitive words to come to pass without work yourself. So I want you to comment on that. And when you're commenting on that, remember that the next question is, because I think this is going to blend in, how does a practitioner blend medicine and spirituality to get transformation in patients and in clients? Because this is what you do. So
yeah.
how do you,
Okay, so I'm going to back up just a little bit, because you said, okay, I have these credentials that sit well with the medical community, and you've told, but in addition, I've trained in these other areas too. And so I have been taught about human design. Daily, I have a spiritual coach that every day, we have a meeting. Every day, there's a group of us who are committed. It is part of my life, part of my schedule. Okay. So when we're talking about our growth, you have to understand that part of it is going to be education, but also habit and doing certain things. And the only way you become is by repetition, constant space repetition. It's like, and it's so funny because we're talking about, I told you I went on this run, and I was just thinking, oh man, I didn't even think about that this morning. I went to the gym, I went to the treadmill, I went running. I didn't even think about it. Okay. And as far as my scar is concerned, we all have scars. And I like to show people my scar. In Japanese, there is a word, wabi sabi. And wabi sabi means it's more beautiful after there's an imperfection. And so you might see an old vase that was broken and then glued back together, and the seams might be gold. And the vase is considered more beautiful and valuable because of, you can see it's been put back together and it's in gold. So I consider my leg my wabi sabi. These are to show that I've been there and done that. And here I am running on the treadmill again, because when I hurt myself, I did hurt myself. I didn't say, I noticed that people like to act like somebody else does something to them. You've done all the stuff to yourself. Nobody's doing anything to you. You have to get out of the first thing. Like when we were talking about this, I don't remember, you said, we need to get away from that being a victim and get into being a creator. And so if you had cancer and you're like, I'm a survivor, stop the victim, stop being a victim, be the creator. You are a thriver. You are not a survivor. But a lot of times people's part of their personality, they don't know who they would be as a thriver or a creator, because their whole life has been around being a victim. And this is a condition of humanity. So no matter where people sit in humanity, they will tell you, heard of what's called the hero's journey. That's the hero's journey. I had it hard and I overcame. That's the hero's journey. And when you go watch movies, that's always what's depicted in a movie. You see people who are having a hard time, somehow they overcome, and you're like, yeah. So we all identify with that. But in order to really create beauty and abundance in your life, you have to let go of that. You have to surrender, let go of that, and move over. Stop looking at the problem, the cancer, look at that solution. What does wellness look like? Right? You have to look at that. You have to you cannot look in the rear view mirror and drive straight at the same time. You cannot do it. You are not meant to do anything but glance at it so you know it's there to remind you of why you keep going forward, right? So just like when I'm getting on a treadmill this morning, I just thought about it like, well, when I scheduled it, I didn't remember I was scheduling it on a date. It's just like, oh yeah, that's there. When I was running on the treadmill, I didn't think about it anymore. I got the major scar here. I have surgery. I have hardware in it, but when I had the injury, I refused to even look at the x-ray of me broken. I refused to look at it because I'm like, I'm not looking at me broken. My husband had a picture of it on his phone, and until I was fixed and I could run, I would not look at that picture.
Wow.
Right? Because
Wow.
I'm putting in my mind where I'm going. That's how you get somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, why would you want to work with an intuitive, a psychic, a spiritual advisor like this? Because you have to know where you're starting and a little bit about how you got there so we can figure out how to get you out of it. You got to know the beginning. So, for instance, you have a GPS and you manifesting generator, great GPS that's inside. In order to program the GPS has to know where they're starting. And then it's where you're starting to where you're going. And that changes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in the respect method, it's reflect. And reflect, notice I use the word reflect because it's you looking in the mirror at you, period, in the discussion. This ain't about anybody else. So I don't want to hear about your kids. I don't want to hear about your mother, your father, your husband, and who did you wrong, because the only person that did you wrong is you looking in that mirror, period. Now, why can I say that with such force? It's because on a spiritual level, the life between lives, we choose who's going to be in our soul group and who's going to give us experiences. We choose that. So we have decided who all these people around us are going to be. So somewhere in the soul world, I chose Cherie would be part of my life. She chose I would be part of the life because we have teachings for each other.
Yes.
It's to evolve.
Yes.
And we are people who know that. And we do it different ways. So it's important for people to know if you are in a pickle and you don't know what to do, number one thing to do is to ask for help.
Yes.
Ask for help. And that doesn't mean you go to help to people who don't know squat, because a lot of people, when they're asking for help, they're going to their friends and their family and everything who don't know more than they know.
Nope.
They don't know more than they know. Okay. So if you want to know how to be well, you're not going to necessarily get that from a Western trained doctor, because they focus in disease.
Exactly.
Disease. That's what they're trained in. That is what my primary training was. Yep. We had anatomy and physiology and all that. We promptly went to pathology and pharmacology. It was everything. Even now, the big rage is these obesity drugs. Okay. You know, the pharmaceuticals want you to embrace these and be on them forever because that's the model. It's the model so they have recurring revenue.
Correct.
We love to have recurring revenue like that, where people are just going to throw money at you because they want some.
Correct.
All right. That's not what we want to do. You want to fix what triggered everything in the first place. And what triggered everything in the first place is that stress, which is something in your spiritual world. And there's a woman, she's deceased now, PhD, Dr. Valerie Hunt, who showed that in your aura, and we all know we have an aura around our body, in our aura, in our energy system, up to 20 years before we manifest an illness, it's already in our aura. And there are people who will be cured and still have problems from whatever it was, and nobody can figure out what it is. It's because it's still in your energy system. And so you're saying, well, what do I do about that? That's where people like me come in, because I can see it, touch it, feel it, know what it was that triggered that, what's on the top layer of the onion, because you got to take it apart like an onion. And you don't know what that is. I don't necessarily know what that is. This is why I need to get on. That's why I get on the call every morning, because I need somebody to look at the box. I'm inside the box. I can't read the labels. I need somebody outside the box to read the label for me, so then I know what to do to get to the next step.
Wow.
All of life is about relationships. You cannot do anything on your own. It's all about us learning from each other. That's why we're here in this ecosystem that we are. Right. But you have to realize that if you're going to the next level and you're serious about that, it is probably not going to happen from somebody that you're sitting next to all the time. Now, okay, now you have to realize that the people who are around you are your biggest spiritual teachers, and you have picked them. Okay.
Yes.
And so the really hard thing is, if you got a bad whatever you got, energetically, that's where you were vibrating, and that's why you're with that person. In the relationships, it's just like people have to realize that you got where you were vibrating. That's where you were. You couldn't see it. It looked okay at the time. You had the imprint. The imprint was stuff that you got from your family of origin, genetics, everything that made you feel comfortable with that. And then you realize, oh my God, especially from a logical standpoint, this is not what I want. How did this happen? That's why you need somebody to help you unwind it. You need somebody to help you unwind it, because you're like, I didn't want this all over again. How come I keep getting this over again? And so you finally, once you realize what you're doing, can start to learn how to make different choices. And it's not easy. It is like when I'm going on that treadmill and running, it is a muscle. Your brain has to get new grooves. You are grooved deeply in that pattern that's not serving you.
Yeah.
And so in order to get a new pattern, first you got to know what the pattern is. Then you got to start doing it like every day, constant spaced repetition. And then at about 100 days, at about 21 days, after 21 days straight, you have a habit. After about 100 days, you got a groove in your brain. So you're on the way, but you still have old grooves in your brain. So if you stop that new pattern, you're going to go right back to the old grooves, because those are the deep ones, right? This is how the brain works. This is all neuroplasticity and brain science, right? I'm saying it in a different way. I'm not saying it with the papers behind me and all the citations, but I'm telling you, my background when I went to Princeton was in neuroscience. I'm telling you, when I told you about cortisol, I studied that in my senior thesis before anybody was even talking about it. And I'm telling you about this neuroplasticity stuff. It's been around for a long time. It's not mainstream, but I'm not a person, I'm not the studier of it. I'm the person to say, okay, now how can I help you change your life so that you can get the results that you want?
Exactly.
So the first thing, know where you are. And then now you have to agree that it's not serving you. You have to change your belief system, right?
Yes.
And then you have to really start embracing who you are. Now, how do you know who you are as a spiritual being?
Exactly.
That's why I use the human design, because we're very visual beings.
Right.
And so to be able to look at it and say, oh my God, that's me. First of all, it's very fascinating. But also then without knowing you, okay, so I can energetically read people, but people still, because they can't see anything and don't know how it's done, are like, oh, okay, well, yeah, but I'm not going to believe her. When I throw that human design up there and I say, blah, 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 here's who you are, people are like,
eye-opening. Okay.
So accurate, right? You were in the room. We were in the room doing this with a group of, there were 9 of us in the room, and I was doing it, and we had just met that week. And I was telling everybody, you're this, and I could see people, they were stunned.
100%.
Okay, now, 2 things were happening, right? For me, 2 things were happening. One is I know the human design system, but 2 is because I'm intuitive. Because when I'm in human design, I'm a splenic projector and I get my information that way. Because my wiring downloads from the right brain and uprose from the left brain, I'm able to know exactly from the ethers what I need to say at what particular time.
Okay, so stop.
Go ahead.
Because I got a testimony. Because what you're saying, right? I was about to bring up that we were together and we had all just gotten together. And I can tell you, my testimony is this. Dr. Veronica did the human design on each and every one of us. And each and every time, everybody's jaw dropped. And it was like, yes, oh my God, that's why. And when you did the human design, you didn't just do the human design and, tell us, okay, your root here and do all the connection. You gave real life instances, not like a particular situation, but how we handled and processed information and how we move through life generally based off that human design. So when you say to me, Cherie, you're a manifesting generator, you do the research, you you think you're specific, you I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, that's right. But here was what was the beauty of it, because I had the opportunity, and I'm hoping if you are watching this, I'm going to have all of Dr. Veronica's contact information in the notes. I had the opportunity of having some private time with her. And in addition to walking me through what Colby revealed to me and what my human design revealed to me, in my personal coaching session with her, if you will, I discovered something, and it has changed me. And Veronica is hearing this for the first time.
I am. And I love this because I get messages from your energy and your guides, which inform me what I'm supposed to say to you very succinctly, so that you get the message and you're able to do something with it. And as an intuitive, for those of us, now I trained too. One of the people I trained with was Mona Lisa Schultz, and she was like, "You're good at this, and you're just here because you need confidence for somebody to tell you that you're really good at this, and just so start doing it." Right? That's why I was there. But one of the things she always taught is, don't ask for validation or verification. You are there just to give the message. Don't edit it. Don't ask for validation. And so I've gotten used to that. So I don't even know when I tell people if I'm accurate, if I'm not accurate, and how it impacts their life a lot of the time. So I'm excited to hear.
Okay, so listen to this. What I discovered after my time with you was that I am the type of individual, I will set my mind to a goal and I will research it. I will work it through. But when I made up in my mind, this is what I want, I pursue it. And when I look back on the history of my life, those significant things that I wanted, I achieved. That's part of my human design and how I move through life. But here is what I noticed. I applied that in everything in my life, in my relationships, in my education, in my business. That was just what I did. But what you pointed out to me was doing that across the board did not serve me well in my relationships, because I saw the red flags in my relationships. But because I had made up in my mind, this is who I want, I began to rationalize, come up with other reasons for you being a perfectionist, coming up with other reasons as to, instead of taking the red flag for what it was truth. I turned it into something else, because my modus operandum is, if I see it, I want to make up in my mind, I'm gonna get it. But I'm also the type of person that when I push and I press and I work and I try, when I'm done, I'm done. And so what I'm building and working on, what you allowed me to see, was I can apply that go get them all for a work and an education and an elevation of me perspective, and apply that to a relationship perspective without paying attention to red flags, because I researched the red flags in business and in education, but I didn't apply it in my relationships. And so now I'm understanding and realizing who I am and why I ended up where I did. And now I'm appreciating this can serve me well here. But Cherie, you also now need to understand and appreciate when you need to take a step back and listen to your gut. My human design showed me. I get so much information from there.
When it says no, you can't make it a yes.
Exactly.
Because, if you look back, and sometime you can share this after you peel this apart anymore, if you start looking back on the generation of your illness, you're going to be able to go back and figure out exactly what happened. You know what I'm saying? From a spiritual
20-year vibration that you said for 20 years it was in the vibration. Girl, I'm looking at all of that. The timing. The timing was there. I married when I was 20. My first marriage. Was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 40.
Wow.
Girl, I'm telling you, y'all better, if you listening to this, you need Dr. Veronica in your life, because it just opened up something for me. And now I can now live out the latter half of my life practicing and living very differently, well-informed, well in tune with your guidance and your tutelage and what you bring. if you never said another word to me, never informed me about how you were being led, about my aura, what was going on inside, and being led to share with me what you are reading on me, changed my life.
Yeah, it's just when I do readings with people, I do it blind, meaning I want your birth information, and I will not talk to you. I don't want a history. I want nothing, because as soon as you tell me what your medical problem is, I'm gonna be able to tell you all about what your issues are. Now, you may be in denial. If I'd have met you, I knew what your issue was, but I had no verification that that was what your issue was. But as soon as I heard, I'm like, oh,
oh yeah.
Right? Okay, so for people who watch, anybody, if you have breast cancer, you need to look really hard at loves in your life. This is in your heart center. You need to look at all kinds of loves in your life. It may not even be your current love, but it may be. But look at your whole history. And so how men manifest generally problems with love is with heart and heart attacks, and women with breast cancer. Like, think about, and when people have cancer, this is one of the things that I have a homeopathy teacher who owns the company Humankind, Kit Hyatt. Kit Hyatt is her name. She's brilliant, and she had cancer, and she's like, listen, everybody who's had cancer has had some kind of death wish, and they have to come to terms with that death wish before they're really going to heal. And so you have to realize that, and I'm sure you do, that cancer is a noble way to die, where everybody's taking care of you and everything like that. It is a noble way to go, and a fabulous way to get attention. Right? So you're going to have to confront that piece of it. And I'm talking really real. When I start respect you, if you are not ready to hear the truth, you're not ready for me. Now, when I'm telling you the truth, it's because I want you to get away and to another place, but you have to be able to admit what is, which is why you have to reflect. And so I'm saying, if you have any kind of cancer, at some point there was a death wish for some reason. And no one ever wants to talk about that because it's not approved or sexy or whatever to have that in any way. Now, where your cancer is will pretty much point to what your particular issue is, right? That's the body keeps the score. And so when the reason why I don't want to talk to people, I don't want to hear histories. Now, I work with people after knowing they have histories and everything like that. And it's great because we can work through their spiritual stuff. And most of the time, when people have gotten to the other side of cancer, they know there was something else other than just the physical. They know it. They know it. They know it. And they want to talk about it, because nobody else will talk about it. And when the doctor says you're cured, you know there's something still going on.
Yes.
I don't feel quite right. All the tests look good, but something ain't quite right. What is it? And so I'm telling you, it's still in your energy system until you make the steps to release it. And this is not what's talked about in Western medicine. It's not necessarily what's talked about in any religious community. This is something completely different. You want to know how to do it. So yes, I want you to keep praying. Prayer works. There's actually medical studies that show prayer works. There are people who pray now and they'll heal somebody in the past. Prayer works. Seriously, there's studies like that. All right. Prayer is amazing. But when people say, I'll pray for you, I'm like, and the reason why you don't know what I wanted you to pray for. You're going to pray for what you want to pray for, and it may not be good enough for me, so don't pray for me unless you know exactly what I want you to pray for. And I'll only ask certain people to pray for me because I know they know how to pray high. Okay?
There you go.
Right? If you don't know how to pray high, and still what's in my mind might not even be high enough. I want somebody who knows how to pray higher than I can even think, right?
Exactly.
Which is why I have the coaches and teachers that I have. I sit there every morning because my coach teaches me to think higher on things I've never even considered. I knew it was there. I knew something was there, but not exactly what was there.
Yes.
Then this person came into my life and I'm like, that's the person I've been looking for. Now, let me tell you about the person I've been looking for. This is important. A lot of people will know that I know I need to do this. And then they'll sabotage themselves by saying they don't have time and money to do it. Right. So I'm going to talk about this last piece that people need to really clearly understand to get results in their health, in their money, in their relationships. You must make some kind of energetic exchange. You must make an energetic exchange. Now, the two forms of energy are time and money. You have to put in time, you have to make an investment, period. So when you come and you're making an investment, it is an investment in you. I'm just a conduit of it. Right. Okay. My money comes from source. Yes. It might come through you, but it comes from source. Right. And that's where yours comes from too. So if you have the opportunity to work with somebody and the investment is grand, if the investment is little, you want to question, do they know what they're doing? And if it's not big enough for you to be like, oh, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do because that's just a lot of money and I ain't going to lose it. It needs to be enough that you're going to take notice. Right. And you can show the universe, the God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, that you are serious by spending time and money. And if you believe, you have faith, you need to do it in faith. You are not going to have the evidence ahead of time. That's the way it works. You're not going to have the evidence ahead of time. So when you say, can you prove to me? I can't prove anything because this is your life. I can give you the guidance. And if you're ready and willing to follow and do the constant spaced repetition, yes, then you're going to get results. I can't
believe it's our time is nearly about done. But I want to tell everyone this. Dr. Veronica never shared with me about the cancer, death wish, the breast cancer, love issue. She never shared that. And when she did, it took everything in me. I'm going to be real. My childhood was very dysfunctional. And there were many times that I just wanted to die. I felt like no one would hear me. I felt like the outsider. I couldn't understand why I was born. So that death wish with me since I was just a little thing. And certainly that whole love, that feeling that if I'm worthy of love, it was hard for me to love myself because of everything that was so dysfunctional around me. So I poured into other people and I felt like if I poured into them, people would love me, but I was always a little sketchy about that love. So that tie, y'all, what she just said about the death wish, the breast cancer, the love issue, I'm telling you, this woman knows what she's talking about. She's changing my life. And before we go, let me do this. So maybe I can stop crying for a little bit. And do this first. So let me share my screen again. I want you guys to know if you want to find out more about the Live Today Foundation, please go out to our website at www.live-today.org. Shoot us an email. Tell us that this show was great. You never seen anything like it. You love Dr. Veronica. Whatever it is you want to comment on. If you didn't like it, let us know that too. It doesn't matter because we still gonna have it back on again, but we want to know. So shoot us an email at info@live-today.org or give us a call at 754-220-0234. And don't forget, if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, look for us at livetoday.org. That's livetoday.org. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search the Live Today Foundation. Go ahead and follow us and subscribe. And then that way you will be able to be notified of any new videos that comes out. But I want to yield the floor for the final words from our very special guest, Dr. Veronica. Dr. Veronica. And know that you're going to have her contact information. I'm going to list her books that she has written, her website. You're going to have links to her if you want to reach out to her. And please, 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 those of you that are struggling, that are looking for a change in their life, you have tried so many other things and you can't seem to break it. Illness follows you, problems follow you, financial issues, you can't seem to get the breakthrough. There is something that is traveling in you that you need to take control of, that you need to move forward with, but you don't know how to move clearly because you have not been able to bring your own self out of it, use Dr. Veronica as a guide. I'm telling you, whether you saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled, and you go to church and you're there Thursday night and Saturday night and Sunday night and at every revival, you still need her. Whether or not you are agnostic and I believe in the universe, and yes, there's one creator, I don't know his name, it does not matter. What the gifts that she has will be applicable. I don't care where you stand in this universe. If you are alive and breathing, and you need change in your life, you need Dr. Veronica. So with that, Dr. Veronica, are there any parting words that you will have for our audience, knowing that you're going to have to come back? Because, girl, you have titillated our taste buds and we must know more. But what words do you have for us?
I know you have questions. You're like, all the questions are coming up. So it's important to understand that when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And also, I want you to know another piece about my background that is important. I was a Sunday school teacher at one point. So that's not where I walked out, but I was a Sunday school teacher and did a lot of Bible study. So if you want to talk about what I'm telling you about in how to make changes, I can show you exactly where the Bible will show you that. Okay. So one of the things when I taught Sunday school with my former husband, and we taught about money. We taught about how managing money according to biblical principles.
Damn.
And it's not something I even teach, but years later, I'm married to somebody else. I'm in the Whole Foods. A woman walks up to me who had been in my Sunday school class. And she's like, oh my God, you changed my life. And the reason why is because we together showed her how to live an abundant life based on biblical principles that she was already following, but people weren't pointing them out that way or showing her how to interpret them away or find it. It was just, you have to be ready and in the right place at the right time. And so for people who are having any type of stuckness or issue, the reason I stopped saying I'm a medical intuitive. I'm like, listen, I'm a psychic intuitive guide. That's what I do. If you don't believe that, you're not ready for me. I'm cool with it, but this is who I am.
Right.
But if that is something that you're ready to, if you want to call me prophetess so it makes you feel more comfortable, or whatever words you want to use.
Exactly.
For people like this all around, and you may be somebody who even has that gift. How I started teaching people how to harness their intuition, because other doctors would come to me and say, okay, so first, how do you have the courage to say that? And second, now can you show me how to do it? And I'm like, well, in fact, I can. And I have a process because I am a doctor who likes processes like everybody else.
Right.
But part of me is my design is also, I'm an innovator. I'm a visionary. It's part of who I am. And so when somebody comes to me, I'm going to think about how to help you innovate for your life, because that's my core genius. That's who the creator made me to think like that. So I want people who work with me to be able to know who they are so they can flow right into it and be very confident about it, have so much faith in it that they're like, I don't care what you say, this is what it is. And then you need, the faith means that you are calm and it comes to you. There's no grasping and begging. See, I see a lot of people who are praying, they're grasping and they're pulling and they're begging. That's not how source works. You magnetize it towards you.
Yeah.
If you are grasping, it's like you're resisting and you have fear. And fear is not what brings anything to you. It's faith and love that brings to you. So you need to learn exactly what does faith, love, and intuition feel like in you. And these are not things that are taught by your parents generally. They're not taught in your education. They're not taught in your church. They're not taught in medical school, law school, whatever else you went to. How to trust in yourself and know exactly what that feels like and to step out. That's what everybody needs to know.
Dr. Veronica, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I'm not thanking you for making me cry, but no, it wasn't you that made me cry. I needed to shed those tears. I needed to confess that, because this is all a part of my continued growing and developing and becoming who I am because of what we started together a couple months ago. I'm Dr. Cherie, the founder of the Live Today Foundation, the host of the Live Today show. Until next time, remember, be present, take charge of your life, and live today and every day.